Welcome to Connecting Our Community, brought to you by the North Andover Elder Services. Connecting Our Community is an educational series connecting local resources to you to help you and your family age with dignity and independence. My name is Kathy Shelp, and I am the Director of North Andover Elder Services. We currently operate programs and services at the Senior Center at 120 Rear Main Street, right behind Town Hall. However, in April 2023, we're very excited to move into our new facility at 481 Sutton Street. Today I am joined by Terry Kelly. Terry works for the Merrimack Valley Community Service Corps located in Lawrence. He has served the community in this position since 1989 and has worked with thousands of senior volunteers. So welcome, Terry.
Well, thank you, Kathy. Thank you for having me as a guest
Oh,
today.
we're so happy to have you. And, we want to get to volunteer opportunities for our seniors in our community, but let's start a little bit with the history of the Merrimack Valley Community Service Corps. What's behind it?
Well, thank you. I'm delighted again to be here, and we look forward to encouraging people to listen to the podcast and listen to the opportunities that we have as we talk about them later on. But the Merrimack Valley Community Service Corps came about as a result of the Chamber of Commerce giving up our program. So in a nutshell, the Retired and Senior Volunteer Program was founded in 1973 by Joe Sweeney, who was the former past president, the former late Joe Sweeney, a wonderful man. And he founded the RSVP program in 73, and it was sponsored by the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce for years. I was hired in 89, and then in 2006, I believe, we were getting pretty big. Our programs were. RSVP was getting larger by funding sources. And then we got a foster grandparent program, which is part of the AmeriCorps program, senior programs. And they decided to cut us loose, if you will. So we became our own nonprofit. We still rent space at the chamber at 264 Essex Street. So in 2006, we became our own standalone nonprofit called the Merrimack Valley Community Service Corps, which still sponsors the RSVP and the FGP program, and we've been there since.
So under the RSVP program, so I'm from upstate New York, I don't know if you know that, so we had an RSVP program that was sponsored through Catholic Charities.
Right.
And under the umbrella RSVP, which is a volunteer program for seniors to get involved. Do you have multiple programs under that?
Well, in RSVP, the requirements are basically that a person is 55 years of age, and that they do not receive a stipend. They fill out a simple registration form, and we query them unless the workstation that they're assigned to queries them. That's required by law. Mm-hmm. So we have programs. Over the years, we've had programs that have been a result, offshoots of RSVP. Back in 1995, we had a Summer of Safety, which was a national demonstration project that got national attention. We had a scheduled visit by the Attorney General at the time, Janet Reno, and because of a situation in Florida, she could not attend, but they were here for several days planning a major press conference. It was pretty cool to have them.
Kind of disappointing you went all to that.
We went to all that. She did come back, but she visited the community policing program at the time. But it was a big deal. But over the years, we've done things. We've done some significant Martin Luther King events. Over the years, we had a piece of public art that we created that was invited by the Speaker of the House at the time in 2000, and Marty Meehan was the congressman here, and the piece of public art was displayed in the Cannon Rotunda in the U.S. Capitol for a couple of weeks. So nice. That was and that was created by our volunteers, young and older volunteers. We've also done other pieces of public art in the community where we started out doing anti-graffiti programs where graffiti was a bigger problem years ago. And rather than just going in and covering it with paint, we decided to put pieces of public art up, if you will. And we found that those who would defame or deface those properties took a second look and saw if they saw something of an art design, they left it alone. Typically,
Oh, that's great. And so you did that through volunteers. Was it an intergenerational
these
program?
most of these were all intergenerational,
Nice.
yeah, with our seniors, and we found that was a pretty successful kind of activity where the kids could learn from the seniors and the seniors could learn from the kids, and more importantly, the kids would learn the importance of responsibility and the idea of giving back to the community that the seniors
Right.
always do. So over the years, we've had a lot of different activities where right now we have a program with Groundwork Lawrence where we're ready to start a program where seniors will actually be planting seedlings, and they can do this in their home, and they will basically plant vegetables, spices, and herbs, and they will be used by Groundwork Lawrence to put in the ground at their community gardens around the city. Those plantings will result in, hopefully, in vegetables in harvest time in late summer, and they will be provided to those vegetables will be provided to various soup kitchens.
Oh, that's
like
great.
bread.
I love that.
Yeah. Corona. And we're doing this, and I know I've jumped ahead a little bit.
Yeah,
but
that's okay.
Yeah, we jumped ahead. But the thing is right now, because of we coming out of COVID, we went from 400 active RSVP volunteers. In 2018, the gas crisis hit here, and it kind of knocked us off our feet for a little bit as we were coming, particularly in Lawrence and here in North Andover,
Right.
Because that was the communities most affected by the gas explosions. Back then, what we did was to try to rebuild the programs, and as we were getting them back in place, we were hit with COVID. We were like the perfect storm.
Yep.
So we went from 400 active volunteers in the RSVP activity to, at one point last year, we were down to about 88.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, fortunately, they all did not die. Folks didn't die, but a lot of them made a decision, a decision not to come back.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's. I'm sure that you've talked to other colleagues that it's not unique to your organization. Volunteerism has just fallen sharply
Yes.
throughohout the country.
Throughout the country.
Yeah.
And so we've been dealing with the AmeriCorps seniors of, the funding source, and we call them our portfolio managers, and they come down and they review and they look at your program, they monitor and they see what's going on.
Right.
And they visited us, and I think you were here the day they came back on August 31st. And I think they were here September 1st. The
They
next
came into
day.
our center.
Yeah, they came into
Yep.
the center to view and meet some of the volunteers, talk about some of the activities. So we are addressing that, trying to build those numbers up. But the seedling program with Groundwork is one of those ways of saying, okay, so if you don't want to come out, or if you're you're reluctant to come out and to go to a center, let's say, you can do your service from home. So we're planning that now. I've been ready to meet with Groundwork Lawrence because we do have to start the program now.
Right.
This is the time of the year, so to do that. Another program that we have is the Foster Grandparent Program. It's another AmeriCorps Seniors program. This program came in play at around the late 90s, I think 1999, 1998. And what that is a volunteer-driven program, but it's stipended. So people actually receive a small stipend. It started out at $2.65 an hour. Now they increased it to $3 an hour. And they have to perform their service in literacy activities. So they were either in schools or Head Start programs or daycare centers and activities like that. COVID, when schools closed, they all got thrown out. And Head Start, everybody had to. There was no more service because they just weren't letting volunteers in. And even now, I had 23 volunteers at the Lawrence Head Start program. They have not reopened. They've reopened, but they have not allowed volunteers to come back. So I have a lot of people who want to volunteer to do that service, and they can't.
And they can't get in. We saw that too through the school district here. They are now this year they're fully opened, and volunteers are back in the schools. But it took time
It's
to
taking
get
time.
them to get them back into the schools. Where's your funding come from? For the
So
programs?
AmeriCorps Seniors is part of the Corporation for National and Community Service. That came under when Clinton was president. There were different funding departments prior to that, but Corporation for National Community Service is now the main funding source. And under that comes AmeriCorps, and we're part of the AmeriCorps Seniors. So Congress appropriates the funding for it. So as long as Congress keeps appropriating funding, we're in business. Although every year that they've been on continuing resolutions forever,
Right.
basically. So
So the money then comes from Congress and it goes to AmeriCorps Seniors, and then AmeriCorps Seniors brings
Right.
it. They
Right.
They
So
distribute it nationally.
Right, they distribute it nationally. So we're part of the Northeast district in the country. It's changed over the years. We are now part of the Northeast region, and I think the Northeast region includes all of New England plus New York.
Okay.
So there are staff in that department, in that agency, up in Concord, New Hampshire, and those portfolio managers and financial people and stuff like that, and they oversee our activities.
All the programs.
Yeah.
And now I know in the North Andover Senior Center, in our center, you have two programs in there, our Cuddles program
Right.
and also our Bone Builders program
Right.
that we got going through you, which has been phenomenal.
Well, we need to thank you for the Bone Builders because when you came on board, you mentioned, did we have a Bone Builders? And we did not.
Mm-hmm.
And with some work with our Vista volunteer, Eileen Reinecht, she did some work, and we were able to get some people trained
Mm-hmm.
and have the program here. We're actually ready to open up another program at the Haverhill
That's great.
Senior Center, Bone Builders, as well as in Lawrence.
That's wonderful. I've worked with the Bone Builders for 25 years for
Right.
my career in New York State. Again, that was run through RSVP. They were our instructors there. Also in Groton, when I came here from Groton. It's a great program.
Nice, yeah.
Great program.
Well, we need to thank you, too,
Yeah,
for
well,
that.
I'm
So-
just happy that
Yeah.
it gets out and the word gets out.
Right.
And people are, engaging in it.
Right.
It's how I got my mother to come to the
There you
senior
go.
center years ago.
Right.
It's through that program. That's how
awesome.
she started. Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, so Bone Builders is it is a weightlifting program, but it is meant to prevent osteoporosis. It is an evidence-based program and proven to work.
Right.
It has been around for years, so it is working, and people see significant results.
Right. I think the whole purpose is to focus on strengthening
Strengthening.
the core
Yep.
of people.
Yep.
So to hopefully help prevent them from falling, where
Yep.
a lot of damage occurs when that occurs.
When that happens,
when that
it's a
happens.
great program. Twice a week, it's free.
Yeah.
And,
Exactly.
and it's free anywhere you go. And
Exactly.
so-
So when we were setting up the Haverhill program, they were like, "Well, how much does this cost?" I said, "Well, it doesn't cost.
Yeah.
We'll train volunteers, and people can come in and
And just do
participate in
it.
the class. Oh, because we have these other programs, might be a yoga class or something like that, where they have to pay.
Yeah.
And I said, well, we don't have to pay. You don't have to pay.
Oh.
And they were intrigued with that. They thought that was
Oh,
good because
it's
not every
fabulous.
senior can come up with $4 or $5
No,
for a
when you start doing that weekly, and if you take more than one class, it becomes a bill. And as opposed to
Right.
now you have this class that's free, and it's free because you have volunteer instructors.
Correct.
Where other classes you have to pay instructors, so that makes it workable.
It's all good.
Yeah. And so tell me a little bit about the Cuddles program.
No, so the Cuddles program that started here. Another program that was originally started here years ago. I can't tell you the exact date, but it was ongoing. And back in 2000, I think it was around the same time that we became a standalone nonprofit. The founder of the program was retiring, and basically the name Dolls for Dolls, that's what it was called. And I was asked, would you take the program over? And so I said, well, tell me, I know we have volunteers registered with the program, but tell me what my requirement would be. So it was more like to supply certain materials that if that weren't donated. Like one of the materials that is required is the muslin material
Yep.
for the body of the doll, and that people don't necessarily have that to donate. But so we buy that at whether it's a Joann Fabrics or whatever or Walmart, and so we provide that or anything that might be not donated. Again, so some people. They used to have sewing machines, and they would break down, and we would be scurrying around to try to find where we're going to have that replaced or repaired, and that became an issue. So now we basically go out and buy a one of those inexpensive Brother sewing machines.
New machine. Yeah.
New machines. So
Yep.
so we do that. We help with that. We've helped with, shipping at some points. We've shipped some things around the country to help pay for the postage of that. So every Friday morning, those lovely ladies
Yeah.
come here and they make those.
They make the dolls, and they're stuffed in different faces and different skin tones. Different. Sometimes they're in superhero costumes.
Right.
Sometimes they're in a dress, or however they choose to dress them. We use a lot of fabric that's donated. We had a gentleman brought a pickup truck full of fabric
Wow.
about a year ago that we're still using.
No kidding.
Oh yeah, beautiful stuff, and Viv goes through
course,
it and pulls
Viv, yeah.
out what she can use, and so we use that, and then those dolls are shipped all over the
All
place.
over the place.
Our local fire department, police department take them. If they need to distribute them to kids, they go to the schools.
Right.
They've gone out of the country. They've gone everywhere.
Yes, they have, and they were actually distributed in Afghanistan by our military some years ago through a connection here at the North Andover
that's great.
Center. And one of my portfolio managers at the time said, "Did I hear you say that they were distributed in Afghanistan?" I said, "Yeah, I did." And they said, "Well, that's illegal, and you can't ship anything overseas to another country when it's made by, created here by volunteers." And so we got a slap on the hand,
Yeah.
but it was like, come on.
I
saw
know.
pictures of these military folks handing these dolls to these beautiful little kids in these villages around Afghanistan. It's like, come on. We give money to these outrageous, rogue,
Yeah,
I don't want to say the word, but but we do provide foreign aid to some people that
Yeah.
really we're giving money to them
Yeah.
and what they do, their the way they treat people. So we have stopped that. Or
Yeah.
at least I say, don't tell me.
Don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't ask, don't tell.
Don't
but
ask me, don't tell
yeah,
me.
and I just it really is too bad. We tend to get regulations in the way of human decency, but I know hospitals here have taken them as well. And actually, there is in a memory care unit, an assisted living takes those dolls as well.
That's wonderful.
The reach is far.
Yeah,
deep.
they're a wonderful gift to people,
Yep.
and they bring so much joy to young and old, like you say. We have
Yeah.
those. But and just to show you some of the issues that we have to deal with quote the government. I had a quote a comfort shawl. That's what it's called now, comfort shawls. But originally, it's called prayer shawls.
Yeah. Yep.
And one of the churches right here in North Andover had annual blessings of those prayer shawls, and we participated in it. And my funding source said, "You can't use the word prayer." When I would be renewing my grants and writing narratives about the activities and explaining them, prayer shawls, and they said no, you can't use that. So we had to change it to comfort shawls
comfort
because
shawls.
it was just too close to like religion.
To becoming religion, yeah.
So, but you also know that the Cuddles program was written up in a dental magazine. I think
I
you
saw
have,
that. There's the article is hanging in the senior center, and I have
Right.
seen the article.
that was
yeah,
such
it's
an
a
awesome-
beautiful article and
It's
pictures.
an amazing
very
article.
well done.
Yeah, with that it's a nonprofit that goes down to the Appalachian area,
Yep.
and they take care of kids, with the dental issues, and then they were giving these dolls out at the
Yep.
same time. So it made a beautiful cover on a magazine, and we were very proud of that.
And they
yes, you
take that
guys.
same program, and you said they're making was it Haverhill? They're making bears.
They're making bears, and they do some other knitting activities, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
skull caps for cancer victims and things like
Yes,
that.
and we do that as well. We
Nice.
do the blankets and hats
Blankets
and
and
mittens and
bags, yeah.
wherever the need is, and those are distributed to the schools
Mm-hmm.
as they need it. So, if someone wants to volunteer, what are you looking for in volunteers?
So with the decline in volunteers, we're ready to launch a campaign through our website and using social media, particularly Facebook, to announce activities that we will be sponsoring or directing people to.
Okay.
So if they are interested in knitting or they are interested in, hey, I'd like to go over and maybe see about how they make those Cuddles dolls, and we would basically refer them to you through,
Right.
so Leah or, Vivian, but typically through Leah that
Yep.
she would know, and they would come in and if they were interested in that looked like a match, then hopefully they would fill out a one-page registration with us, and we could put them on our mailing list so that they would be invited to the recognition events and the insurance coverage that they get.
Did they get through through volunteering
Yeah,
through?
and
through
they
you.
do get travel reimbursement if they so desire.
Mm-hmm.
They do desire that. It's not a lot, but it does help some people. And today, and I think we've talked a little bit about the NEAT program and what they're struggling
What they're
for
struggling with as
volunteers.
well, yeah.
Everybody appears to be having issues getting volunteers in. Everybody I've spoken to that run organizations are saying, yeah, we're having a hard time.
Yeah,
getting
and I think there's and I like to be the optimist in me that there are people out there that want to figure out how to give back and how to use their skills, and literacy programs and reading with the kids and being a foster grandparent.
Sure.
Just the rewards are huge.
Exactly.
And especially a new retiree, when you're used to working every day, then it's kind of quiet. Now what do I do? And it's a great way to
Yeah.
stay involved at your own time and when it's convenient for you, and how you can build that into your life and changes.
So we're hoping to again the seedling program or the planting program, we'll be launching that officially soon. But we're hoping that a lot of people who say, well, I really don't feel comfortable yet going to the senior center yet, or this place or that place. Well, you can do this from home.
Right.
We're going to provide all the materials for them to start a seed through germination in where they grow and where they have to eventually be transferred to a larger pot. And then this Groundwork Lawrence will take those plants and put them in the ground. And again, they will provide food for like Cor Unum or Bread and Roses that provide food daily to the poor in the city. So we're hoping that will be a big hit. And we're also going to be looking at some maybe assisted living sites or even public housing for seniors where they have these community rooms and where they can do it as a community.
As a group,
yeah.
Interesting, because I've been actually looking at the hydro gardening to bring that into the senior center, especially when we move into the new building.
Right.
And an opportunity that we can grow continuously around. I've watched my sister has a school in Florida with autistic kids, and they've done it there. And the kids, she said, it's just grown exponentially in with the enthusiasm and everyone involved in it. And for somebody that's retired, that love to garden,
Right.
and it could be a really great opportunity.
Yeah, we've actually had some volunteers actually go to the community gardens and work in the garden itself. Over. So we had an NCCC, another program that we've sponsored through AmeriCorps was the National Civilian Conservation Corps, and what that is they send a group of young people, 18 and up, and they come in a van. And they come to your location. My responsibility was to provide housing for them.
Okay.
And the housing, then they would stay here for a duration. They happened to be staying for 30 days. And they came and they did all sorts of things. They did food security at the Lawrence Senior Center during COVID, when they were bringing pallets of food into the senior center and distributing it to the folks. And then they also worked at the community garden helping them harvest the crops that were raised. And we did that a couple of years ago during the summer. And then we did the same activity back in the mid-2000s where I had another group of young people come up, and they did a whole bunch of things around the city. And again, you have to provide the housing, which is not easy. And
right.
we were lucky enough to get a grant from Eversource to provide the housing at one of the hotel in Andover.
Oh, nice.
Where they
Yeah.
bunked up. They were like 2 or 3 members per room, and all you have to make sure is that they have a kitchen, they can sleep, and that they have obviously bathroom facilities for them.
Yeah, there was a great program when I was in Groton, but it has since stopped as well once COVID came, and then it just never came back. And they would actually bring in, it was called the Catholic Heart Work Camp, and they would bring kids from all over the East Coast and some further around the country. They would come for a week and stay at Lawrence Academy, which is one of the prep schools there. And then during that week, we could sign people up that needed things done in their homes. They had built wheelchair ramps. They've built sheds. They've painted houses. You name it. They come in and do a phenomenal program.
That's wonderful.
But they lost their housing.
They did.
And so they could not find somewhere else to go. And the kids actually paid to be part of the program.
They do.
And they couldn't find a place to house 400 kids.
They keep sending me emails. Hey, do you want to sponsor another NCCC? And I'd love to.
Yeah.
But
Where am I going to put them?
$10,000 it costs to house them for a month
Yeah.
at that hotel, and
Yeah.
I got a quote discount rate, but it was still $10,000.
Yeah.
And the first year I did it, Lazarus House had a property on Myrtle Street in Lawrence, and they basically said, Bridget Sheehan, who was the director at the time, she said, you can use the house. There's one person living there, but they can move in. So there were like 10 or 11 of them, and it worked.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think I paid her $1,000. I had some money that I could pay her, but there's housing shortages everywhere. So
You're
you're not going to see.
So now you got to hard to house people just temporarily for that
Yeah.
month.
So having an NCCC team is as terrific as it sounds and wonderful what they do. It's prohibitive, as far as the kind of money that you need to support that activity.
Right.
So,
Right.
So our MVCSC has also worked at doing some public art, as I indicated. We've had a history of doing some things around the city to eradicate graffiti. One of the best stories is that, along with being invited to Washington, D.C. to display some of the beautiful artwork, was the Duck Bridge in Lawrence. It's the Union Street Bridge. For years, there was a wind barrier on the west side of that, so people walking across wouldn't get whacked with that northwesterly wind coming down from Canada, and that would always get tagged. It was like a mess. And that bridge is like 450 feet, long, and there was a lot of wall space, if you will. So we went over there I put a crew together of young and old, the mayor of the city. We went over and we covered it all up. We painted it all out, got rid of the graffiti, and it looked really nice. And people were like, wow, that looks nice, for a change, instead of seeing all the tags. Not that the tags were all offensive. There wasn't bad words all the time, but it was just their tag. Whatever the gang tag was, it was there. So several weeks after it was up, I got a call from a gentleman from a pizza store in South Lawrence, and he said, "Have you seen the bridge? Have you seen what's happened on the bridge?" And I said, "No, what?" He said, "It's been tagged." And so I said, "Oh, no." So I went and looked at it, and it was a local artist who did this amazing flower thing, that probably was like 30 feet long, and it was beautiful. But it had the words, "To all the ladies," and I was like, oh my God, this is an artist who did this work, and it's beautiful, and it really does not take away. It's not graffiti. It's graffiti, but it's not it's not offensive. It's all in the mind, of the eyes of the beholder. Anyway, he went over and covered it himself. He took. Because I wasn't going to do it. I was like, I'm really reluctant to go over and cover it. An artist who puts this up. That gentleman did it. He went over. He went over and did it himself. He was so upset about it, which was fine.
Yeah.
Then eventually the walls came down because the bridge got closed for a couple of years while they were restoring it because it was had been around for a long time. But so we've done those, kind of public art things, and again the MLK stuff. The most recent public art that we did was this past August, where we created a mural. I brought a picture of it for you to look at,
Oh,
Kathy,
I see it.
your viewing audience here.
Oh, yeah, that's beautiful. I think I saw that, Terry, somewhere.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
So we had an RSVP volunteer, Leslie McGrath, who is an amazing artist, and she created this in memory of Johanny Rosario Pachada, who was killed in Afghanistan on the final days while we were exiting that country, and we were taking people out, refugees, and getting them out of there. And she was a Marine and helping those folks, and she was killed in a terrorist blast at the airport, Kabul airport. So we, in honor of her, we created this piece of public art that now hangs at the Lawrence Veterans Memorial Stadium in South Lawrence.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And we installed it last August, and August 19th, and we had a pretty nice celebration, if you will, of her life. We had the former Joint Chiefs of Staff, Four-Star General Joe Dunford, who came, was the guest speaker, and a lot of other dignitaries who came to see the unveiling of the of this mural. But we've done things with the Veterans Department where we've done wreaths. Our volunteers create wreaths for the memorials, for the street corner memorials and things like that. So we periodically do that, and we have done the wreaths for the Purple Heart City and all the egresses, the entrances to the city. So public art is something that we've done. It's not considered an impact program for my funding source, but we still do it because it is a volunteer activity, and it is, it's beautification, and it's remembering and
Right.
honoring our fallen
It's just
heroes.
community pride as well.
Exactly.
There's a lot of pieces that goes in it. So you actually, someone that wants to find meaningful volunteer work, you have many avenues for them to get involved in their community, and even though you're located in Lawrence, your impact
Right.
goes beyond Lawrence as well. Because I know your impact is here in North Andover.
Sure. So people they'll see we have a Facebook page. It's mymvcsc.org. That's being updated as we speak, and we'll be posting some Facebook announcements of activities that are currently being open or being recruited for. And people can reach us that way, or there are various in the internet where people look for volunteer opportunities, and they can, if they may want to go to a certain part of the country, or they're looking for a certain activity, and usually we can be found. We've been found by people who
Just
say,
doing that, and they can give us a call if they want to get involved
Right.
in any programs that we have running. And I know even in the Cuddles program, there are people there with skill that can actually, operate the sewing machine, and some people that
Amazing.
just stuff the dolls,
Yep.
and then some that are really good at putting on the faces.
Right.
And so everybody has a role, and they chat with each other and it's social while they're doing it. And they're giving back to their community all at once. It's just a great program.
Yeah, it's important. I think many people do, and I think there is that post-COVID reluctance, or
Yeah.
a little bit of ambivalence, like, oh, is it safe? Then you hear about the flu strain. It's like it's never going to end.
Yeah.
So people
It's still our new normal.
it's the new normal, and we hope that we'll see an increase. We actually have seen an increase since. We were at 88 a year ago, and I think right now we're up to about 125. So we're growing.
It's going.
And
yeah.
we're trying to emphasize, some of the impact programs that really we get measured on. Those things can be from tax fraud preparation, if you will, information, tax fraud information, or tax preparation, or nutrition things. We had a big brown bag program in Lawrence where we had 60 RSVP volunteers twice a month. 2,000 or 3,000 bags of food would be distributed. That went away.
Oh.
It went away, and so that's
a huge
huge.
hit.
It's a huge hit,
Yeah.
and so now it's let's grow food, and folks can do that in their kitchen, and they don't have to go anywhere, and they can, we'll work with them, answer questions, we'll go drop things off, we'll pick things up, we'll do everything to help them make that work, but things like the NEAT transportation is in need of
Yeah.
of volunteers to do
Yeah,
that
and
work.
Joy Sawyer from that, she's going to be a guest of ours in a couple of weeks,
Nice.
and talk to her about that program and getting in. And for those of you that don't know, NEAT is a transportation program that offers volunteer drivers that transport our senior residents to medical appointments, especially those out of the area. And it is just a huge need, cannot be overstated.
Huge need.
Cannot be
And-
overstated.
And speaking to her, there are some barriers for
Yeah.
people. Whether it's gas prices or COVID.
Yeah. And they do reimburse for your gas.
They do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And,
And I think it's a great program. It's so needed. It's so needed, and we're hoping that we can help them by promoting the activity and get people
and
to
get it out.
Get
Yeah,
it
we
out
need a big
there.
volunteer fair like the old days.
The old days. Right. So you must be excited about the new center.
Oh, we are.
Yeah.
We expect to have programming starting in there April 3rd, and it seems to be on target. Furniture will start coming in March and get that all set up and put together because nothing comes put together. So it's going to all have to be
Right.
done. And yeah, we're looking forward to that and growing our own programs as well.
Nice.
But again, we see the change. And Meals on Wheels is another program that just struggles to
Right.
keep drivers.
Another one. True.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and those are just bedrock programs. I mean, RSVP's been around forever, and Meals on Wheels, there are just solid programs that feel like have always been there, and that security and the concern we could lose them because we don't have enough volunteers.
Right, and and that's why I'm hoping, working with you and other folks, that we can promote those activities
Yeah.
and see if we can engage some folks to come in and help
And
perform those duties, those important, critical needs in the community.
Yeah, well, Terry, thank you so much for coming in today.
Well, thank you, Kathy.
It's been great talking to you, and actually, being kind of new to the area, it's great for me to hear to everything that you're doing, and hopefully, we'll see if we can help.
And I look forward to you and your new venture at the new
Yeah.
facility, and I hope that we can continue our relationship.
And maybe we can get a garden going in there and start some
Yeah,
seedlings,
absolutely. Let's do that.
And,
Yeah. Sounds
and,
good.
And get going on that. So, well, thank you. And thank you all for listening. This has been the North Andover Elder Services connecting our community. We hope you stop by and see us. Take care.